Today we are kicking off Work Zone Safety Awareness Week. We have a number of construction projects going on throughout the state of Louisiana. And with all those construction zones, it's so important for people to really be aware of their surroundings when they're driving through construction zones. Slow down, look at the signing, pay attention to the signing, don't be distracted, put those cell phones down, make sure you wear your seatbelts so that we can get to our goal of 0 deaths on our highways. Today, we're here to talk about a very serious issue, work zone safety, and to stress to Louisianians the importance of driving safely through work zones. This effort will help reduce the number of injuries and fatalities that occur on Louisiana's roadways. Additionally, in support of this effort, Governor Bobby Jindal has declared, it's quite windy today, April 7th through the 11th as Work Zone Awareness Week in Louisiana. This year's theme is Work Zone Speeding, a Costly Mistake. It reminds drivers of how costly it can be to ignore safety through work zones by being fined, put in jail, or worse, losing a life. The orange cones behind me is the memorial that you see, and it represents 609 lives lost in work zones in 2012. Way too many. Some of these individuals were motorists and some were construction workers. 12 of these cones represent the deaths which occurred right here in Louisiana. In 2012, in addition to these fatalities in Louisiana, 661 individuals were injured in work zones, and a total of 314 deaths resulted from motor vehicle crashes in work zones since 1989. I find these numbers deeply troubling, and so should you. Each of these fatalities and injuries were preventable. Through the Destination Zero Deaths initiative and the strong partnerships we have formed with speakers here today, tremendous progress has been made to improve safety on Louisiana's roadways. Since 2007, motor vehicle fatalities on public roads in Louisiana have dropped from 993 to 722 in 2012, and serious injuries have been reduced from 15,830 to 13,561. At DOTD, we are constantly looking to improve and enhance our roadways through safety initiatives such as the installation of centerline rumble strips, roundabouts, and cable medium barriers. In addition, we have our Road Safety Assessment Program, which many of you participate in, to determine any existing safety-related needs along a specific state route and to identify opportunities for low-cost safety enhancements to address those needs. Although this is very encouraging, we still have a long way to go, and it's imperative that motorists do their part. So, I urge drivers to stay alert and give full attention to the roadway. Pay close attention to signs and work zone flaggers. Obey the posted speed limits. Avoid tailgating. Do not drink and drive. Wear your seatbelt and put down your cell phone. These are all easy for us to do. If we would just take these steps, we can reach Destination Zero Deaths. Lastly, I ask you and urge you to respect the men and women in the construction areas. They work on the highways every day. It is a very dangerous situation that they're in, so please, please respect them and slow down and pay attention. They work every day to improve the transportation for you, our citizens, so it's important that we give them the respect that they deserve. To learn more about the Louisiana Highway Safety Plan and how the speakers you see here today are working to reduce the number of fatalities on Louisiana's roadways, please visit the Destination Zero Deaths website at www.destinationzerodeaths.com. I really appreciate you being here today. And our next speaker is Wes Bollinger, again he's the Division Administrator of the Federal Highway Administration, Louisiana Division, and he's going to say a few words. And I just want to stress that our partners here today and all of you are making a difference in reducing fatalities on our roadway. So with that, Wes, thank you.
Thank you, Secretary LeBoff, for inviting me to speak here this afternoon and for your continued support in the highway safety in Louisiana. Reducing congestion and crashes in work zones is a priority for the Federal Highway Administration here in Louisiana, as well as across the country. National Work Zone Awareness Week is traditionally observed in April each year to mark the beginning of the nation's construction season. However, in Louisiana, road construction can be performed nearly year-round. Therefore, work zone safety is a concern throughout the year in Louisiana. We at Federal Highway Administration are proud to support the Department of Transportation and Development in the efforts to ensure safety and mobility in Louisiana's work zones and to reach their goal of destination zero deaths on Louisiana's highways.
Thank you for coming. I first want to say Colonel Evanson requested he couldn't make it. My name is Lieutenant J.B. Slayton. And first of all, I want to thank Secretary LeBlanc for her continued support and our partnership with DOTD and our partnership with the Federal Highway Administration and also Louisiana Highway Safety Commission. I also want to thank Governor Bobby Jindal for dedicating this week for work zone safety. I think you can look behind me and just see these cones and you can see the significance of 609 fatalities nationwide. Those numbers are pretty staggering. When you see those cones, it really hits home. And when it comes right down to it, one cone is too many. If you see one cone out there, that's one too many. We really need to focus our efforts on making the public aware about work zone safety. And, state police is always out there. When you see the blue lights and you're going through a work zone, that's us. We're partnering with DOTD. We're out there with those workers. I also want to thank those workers for doing their job to make our highways safe, to make them, they're out there doing their best. We're out there nonstop. When something happens in a work zone, we're the ones that are going to respond to that incident. And those troopers are affected when something happens. 609, we can do better. We can definitely do better. And I'd like to turn it over to Ken Truel.
Thank you. My name's Ken Truel. I'm the Deputy Director for the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission. And our mission at the Highway Safety Commission is to be a partner in reducing deaths and injuries on our highways. I also want to thank the Secretary for inviting us to help call attention to the critical issue of work zone safety. We all know how easy it is to be involved in a crash because of a distracted driver. There's probably no one here who hasn't dodged a car before. That distraction could be a cell phone, passengers, changing a radio station, or just thinking about something other than driving your vehicle. Now stop and think how dangerous distractions can be when you're in a work zone. You often have traffic congestion and redirected traffic lanes. You will have workers close to vehicles. The high visibility vest you see the highway workers wearing doesn't provide any protection if they get hit. We can all work to improve work zone safety by doing just a few simple things. Follow the posted speed limit, which is generally going to be lower than the normal roadway limit. Don't tailgate. Keep a safe distance between you and the vehicle in front. A vehicle that's struck in a work zone could easily be knocked into a highway worker. Probably most importantly, stay completely focused when you're driving through a work zone. Don't think about anything else but traversing that zone safely. We'd ask, as always, you don't drink and drive, and always wear your safety belts. Remember that doing these things will make work zones safer and help protect our highway workers while they work for us to improve our streets and highways. Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you to all our speakers. And again, this week is Work Zone Safety Awareness Week, or next week is. But this is something that we need to do every day, 365 days a year. So keep this in mind as you're driving through work zones. I think seeing the cones out here helps people really think about more of what they're doing when they're driving through a work zone. So keep this in mind and be safe as you're traveling the roads. Thank you very much for coming today.
What goes through your mind when you look at the cones behind you?
Well, I'm always saddened by the number of cones that I see every year, and look forward to the day when I can come out here and there's not a single cone out here. So it's always it's sad because to lose a life is so precious, but what it does is it makes us more aware, more vigilant in what we're doing to do safety issues on the roadway, rumble strips, cable barriers, trying to do what we can to improve infrastructure safety. With that said, also the education of our traveling public and just getting the message out just over and over again for people to be careful when they're driving on our roads.
When you work in a work zone safety, in a work zone, obviously the speed limit is decreased. So you need to be mindful of the traffic and the fact that the traffic slows down. And we try and aggressively enforce traffic laws in the work zones.
What are the penalties for speeding in the work zone?
Usually the penalties are doubled in the work zones. Usually in school zones and in work zones, the penalties are doubled in the parishes.
Bottom line, what do you want drivers to remember 52 weeks of the year?
Bottom line, we want them to remember to be safe when you're coming into a work zone. Recognize work zones are ahead and slow down and be safe and get rid of the distractions.
How much of a problem is distracted driving when it comes to work zones?
Well, I mean, if people aren't paying attention and you don't see that sign where there's a lane shift, it's a huge problem because you're not paying attention and you may go the wrong way. You may not do the lane shift and keep going straight, and it can cause a real problem. And our construction workers are out there. I mean, they're putting their lives on the line every day being out there trying to improve the infrastructure for us, the drivers. So we need to give the construction workers the respect that they deserve as they're working on the highways.
Just remember that workers in a work zone are very vulnerable. So we always want to pay attention to what we're doing, follow the posted speed limit, keep your distance between the vehicle in front of you, and always be aware there will be workers in real close proximity to the travel lanes.
We got highway construction all over the state. What do you want people to remember 52 weeks of the year?
Yeah, this is not just work zone safety month. Be safe year round. Pay attention to the workers because there's construction going on in Louisiana year round.
And a lot of those workers are working overnight throughout the state.
That is true. In our urban areas, we require the contractors to do some of the work at nighttime so as to lessen the impact on the traveling public during the day. So it's even more important that you slow down during work zones at nighttime because it's harder to see at night, and you really need to pay attention.
What do you want people to keep in mind 52 weeks of the year?
Well, not only through work zones, but certainly we want them to drive safe through work zones, to pay attention, but really to go the speed limit or lower if there's inclement weather, of course. Wear their seatbelts, put down the cell phones, pay attention to signing, whether it's roadway signing, construction signing, whatever, and really make their focus when they get behind a wheel, their first priority should be driving that vehicle safely down the road. And that's what we want. And we want to reach destination zero deaths, zero fatalities, zero lives lost on our highways.
As we take a look at all the cones behind us, what's your message?
My message is that all of these deaths are preventable. None of these deaths should have occurred.
If people have questions like more information, what should they do?
They should go to the website. It's www.destinationzerodeaths.com. And also, they can all go to the DOTD Facebook page.